Hello, welcome to UCARE Module number 10, learning more about Operation Houndstooth. Earlier in the UCARE project, you learned about the Operation Houndstooth Skills. These skills were introduced in Module 4 as part of the Loving to Read strategies. Before beginning this module, be sure you've downloaded the handouts for Module 10. You will also need your Jacob's Ladder Reading Comprehension Program book. You can see that the Loving to Read portion of the UCARE model included SEMR, Operation Houndstooth, the Houndstooth Skills, and the Oral Language Building Storytelling Strategy introduced this year. Operation Houndstooth was developed by Dr. Joseph Renzulli as part of the SEM and SEMR programs. The three-ring conception of giftedness is a theory that attempts to portray the main dimensions of human potential for creative productivity. The name derives from the conceptual framework of the theory, namely, three interacting clusters of traits: above-average ability, task commitment, and creativity, and their relationship with general and specific areas of human performance. The three rings are embedded in a houndstooth background, which represents the interaction between personality and environmental factors that give rise to the three rings. In other words, the importance of the houndstooth skills cannot be overstated. It is through the continued development of these skills that above-average ability, task commitment, and creativity are developed. In the UCARE program, we taught you several foundational skills to help your students be successful with various strategies in the Loving to Read, Learning to Read, Reading to Learn, and Reading to Serve components of the program. You learned about the characteristics exhibited by advanced and gifted readers, including those from second language and high poverty situations. Learning about these characteristics helped you develop a better understanding about how they learn and what they need. You also learned about how to organize your classroom in such a way that would allow students to show their reading capabilities. The Houndstooth skills include both intra- and interpersonal skills that help advanced and gifted readers develop self-confidence, awareness of their own or others' concerns, and most specifically, give students an understanding about what it takes to tackle more difficult reading tasks. As you see from the graphic on this page, the 6 co-cognitive skills involved in Operation Houndstooth are all interrelated. For example, optimism, defined as hope or the positive feelings one gets from successfully completing tasks, and in particular tasks that are challenging or that require hard work, is connected to all of the other skills. In this video, we are not going to go over what each of these mean. However, should you want to do that on your own, you can feel free to revisit Module 4, Video 1, that is on our Canvas website. As we re-examine the Houndstooth skills in this video, we want to focus first of all on the students with whom you are working. As you think about the skills listed here and your identified students, which skills are their strongest? Which skills are their weakest? For example, as you look at Johnny, what would you say are his strongest skills, his weakest? Which ones would you need to concentrate on to help him be successful? In this video, we're going to examine how the Houndstooth skills relate to the things we've already taught you. We will be asking you to think about how these skills can be incorporated into what you are already doing with organizing for instruction, SEMR, Jacob's Ladder, advanced content, literature catalysts, problem-based learning, and community problem solving. Let's begin with some general questions about how the Houndstooth skills would relate to reading. Take a look at these questions. As a group, have a discussion about what you already do to develop the Houndstooth skills in your students as they participate in various reading tasks. Now that you've discussed reading in general, let's focus on the individual strategies you've learned and how you can tweak what you are already doing just a little bit to provide more focus on them. As we look at the Organizing for Instruction part, we refer to the DIG, or the UCARE Developmental Implementation Guide. You will see that you are probably already doing all of these things. Now let's tie them to the skills listed on the right. Remember, in Module 2, you learned about what it takes to differentiate instruction for your learners. As you organize your classroom to provide the best possible instruction for your students, you need to respect diversity, maintain high expectations, and also generate openness. In addition, you need to ask yourself these questions. This is where the Houndstooth skills begin. Discuss these questions with a partner. Feel free to refer to the Operation Houndstooth Skills handout found in your packet for this module. We already talked about the Houndstooth skills when we introduced SEMR, but let's take a deeper look now at how we might integrate these skills into what you do with SEMR. As a group, take a look at these questions. Again, focus on how you might help students develop their own Houndstooth skills as they reflect on these skills tied to the characters in the books or stories they read. It is also important to discuss how they can take what they learned about a character in a story and integrate it into their own lives. Jacob's Ladder, a strategy listed in the Learning to Read component of the World Class Reader model, provides a way for students to gradually move to higher-level thinking tasks. Some students may already be confident when moving up the ladders, but as several of you have shared with us in your exit tickets, many of even our highest ability readers have difficulty if they can't immediately complete a task. The Houndstooth skills help give students the confidence they need to stay with the task, even though it may be challenging. As a group, discuss these questions. Pick one story in your Jacob's Ladder reading comprehension program and make notes in your book about where you could have students talk about the skills in relation to the stories they are reading. In Module 6, you learned about advanced content, and you were also introduced to the literature catalysts. As students work with advanced content, they may become overwhelmed with the tasks. The Houndstooth skills become most important as a way to keep them connected to more difficult learning experiences. What would you do or say in the following situation to help this student use his Houndstooth skills to overcome this situation? For a long time, Haruto, a fourth grade student in Mrs. Collins' class, had been wanting to study butterflies. In particular, he was interested in butterflies that were on the endangered species list. He discovered that the Carner blue butterfly, the Palos verdes blue butterfly, and the Macedonian grayling were among the most beautiful butterflies he had ever seen, and he wondered why they were becoming extinct. He found a book about this titled Endangered Butterflies, part of the Earth's Endangered Animals series, which gave him some information, but Haruto was reading at a high school level, and this seemed overly simplistic to him. To make matters worse, the online websites he found were too complex for him to understand. As a result, Haruto was becoming very discouraged. What would you say to Haruto? Tie your responses to the Houndstooth skills listed next to his picture. The Literature Catalyst, again introduced in Module 4, provides suggestions for helping advanced readers experience the elements of the world-class reader model tied to a given story or piece of literature. These catalysts serve as models for your own UCARE curriculum integration. Let's take a look at a couple of these catalysts to see how you could also add the Houndstooth skills. In El Defo, one of the Literature Catalyst books, grade 3 through 4, Cece Bell chronicles her hearing loss at a young age and her subsequent experiences with a very powerful and very awkward hearing aid, which gives her the ability to hear, sometimes things she shouldn't, but also isolates her from her classmates. She really just wants to fit in and find a true friend. After some trouble, she is finally able to harness the power of the hearing aid and, more importantly, declare a place for herself in the world and find the friend she's longed for. In the Loving to Read section of this catalyst, readers are asked several questions. Take a look at each of these questions and also at the list of Houndstooth skills to determine which Houndstooth skill matches each question. When you have decided, start the video to see the skills that might be connected to each question. Did you choose these skills? Different skills? Have a discussion about that. Wonder, a book on the 5th/6th Literature Catalyst list, is the story of August Pullman, a 9-year-old boy who likes Star Wars and Xbox. He is an ordinary boy except for his jarring facial anomalies. Homeschooled all his life, August heads to public school for 5th grade, and he is not the only one changed by the experience. Something we learn about firsthand through the narratives of those who orbit his world. August's internal dialogue and interactions with students and family ring true. And though remarkably courageous, he comes across as a sweet, funny boy who wants the same thing others want: friendship, understanding, and the freedom to be himself. Now take a look at the questions found in the Loving to Read section of this catalyst. Which Houndstooth skills could you incorporate into a discussion about these questions? Finally, we get to problem-based learning and community problem solving. Of all the strategies we have taught in UCARE, the skills become crucial as tasks associated with these two strategies are implemented. Students need to use their advanced reading skills and abilities to tackle the rigor these strategies require. In the problem-based learning program you did last year, students needed to be optimistic that the problem they were going to tackle was meaningful for them. During the process, they needed to have courage to move beyond just reading the text into actually looking for important information and in moving towards solving the problem. They needed to fall in love with their topic in order to sustain the ongoing work needed to complete it. They needed to have both physical and mental energy, not just to stay with the tasks, but to continue to think about the very best solution to the problem. Most importantly, they needed to do some self-evaluation to see how this could impact their life and the lives of others. Community problem solving involves the same Houndstooth skills, except that now there is a greater focus on actually doing the work to implement the product or the final decision. All of the Houndstooth skills come into play during this phase as well. Have a discussion with your group about how you could help students understand the Houndstooth skills they are learning this year through the community problem-solving process. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the new developing grit work being done initially by Angela Duckworth and others. As you compare the grit skills and the Houndstooth skills, what do you notice? In the following slides, several hints and suggestions are listed to help you become successful in integrating the Houndstooth skills into what you are already doing in your classroom. Of course, you can always email one of the leadership team, or better yet, put your suggestions on the Module 10 discussion board. Students need to become familiar with the Houndstooth vocabulary, and so do you, so that you can use these words with students often. Encourage the students to use these words too, so that they can begin to see the transferability of these skills. Remember, we have never said that you can't Play with the UCARE strategies with as many of your students as possible. In this case, because of the importance of these skills, you may want to think of this as a whole class activity. Enlarging this poster or creating your own and putting it in a place of prominence in your classroom will help remind you and the students of the skills. Notice that this poster contains icons to make it easier for younger students to remember what the skills mean. As you begin or end your day, the Houndstooth Skills can be a way to bring closure to an activity or to the day itself, or it can be used as an activity starter or as a way to begin the day. Having students focus on one particular skill is also a way to help them incorporate them into their lives. Questions such as, beginning of the day, teacher talk. You are going to be doing many things today in our classroom. As you already know, we've been working on skills called Houndstooth Skills. Today, I want you to focus on courage. What does courage mean? And then students respond. As you go through the day today, I want you to notice how and when you show courage. Or at the end of the day, teacher talk, at the beginning of the day, I asked you to notice how and when you showed courage. Can someone tell me how and when they showed courage today? In the previous example, students could also write their ideas or responses in a Houndstooth notebook. Take a minute and answer these questions as a group. How do you use the Houndstooth skills in your life as a teacher? Are they important to you? Finally, we look at the words of Harry Passell, who remind us that what we teach students needs to be meaningful and sustainable. The Houndstooth skills definitely stand up to this charge.